Hey everybody, it's Elijah here. I just wanted to take a minute and share another watch with you that we just, or that I just finished up. This is a military issued 1968 Benrus model DTU-2AP with a hack feature. For those of you who don't know, the hack feature is just basically where you can pull the stem out and it stops the second hand, so you can synchronize your watch a lot better. But I'll tell you something else that's interesting about this watch is that it has a one-part steel case. And before Benrus came along, military-issued watches were not made this way. It wasn't until Benrus introduced this design to the government. And in fact, this is what actually got them awarded the very first military contract that was for 10,000 watches for the Marines, which in fact I think later led them to getting a contract for over 30,000 watches. But the significance of this is big, really. You know, over a period of time, all prototypes that were submitted to the government, none of them had a larger contribution than Benrus. In fact, still, you know, the single case and two-piece stem system was basically adopted by the military in every single watch made for the Vietnam War, no matter what manufacturer it was, whether it was Bulova, Seiko, Hamilton, Westclox, which I actually showed a one-part case yesterday, and that was a one-part plastic case. But it really didn't matter who the manufacturer was. If it was any of those, again, if it was Bulova, Hamilton, Seiko, Westclox, it doesn't matter. They all adopted it. They all started making one-part cases. The reason why is because, you know, these watches were made during war over in Vietnam, and the conditions were, I can only imagine. But what I do know is that it's extremely humid, extremely wet, and they made this case and design in hopes that, you know, it would just be very rigid, it would be durable, and it would last. And that's exactly what they got out of it. And in turn, you know, they basically made the footprint for how these military watches were being made and how they were being issued. So that's just one part of this watch that I think is very special. It's very sought after by collectors for this design alone, and its historical significance in the watch industry. And but I tell you, there's another part of this watch that I think is equally important and awesome as well. This particular watch is a one-owner watch. The gentleman who sent this watch in, his name is Dan, and he was actually in the Navy. He was actually he was actually a pilot, a Navy pilot. And this watch was actually issued to him aboard the USS Sea Coral. Now, I don't know if you know anything about aircraft carriers or battleships. I don't know too much about them, but I did some research on the USS Sea Coral, and man, this thing is massive. It's 968 feet. I've actually got a picture of it in the background. I'll give you a better photo of it here in a minute. But USS Sea Coral was 968 feet. It had a 136-foot flight deck, and during World War II, it could carry 130 aircraft. Now, the USS Sea Coral has got some pretty big significance to her as well. In 1961, she was the first aircraft that got a system installed called the Platt system. And the Platt system was basically a device that was used to record all landings. It was in hopes to reduce accidents and to get a lot more footage of takeoffs and landings, to just better critique their pilots and you know, to better themselves basically through training and through actually active duty. But by 1963, all aircraft carriers had this exact system. Now, the USS Sea Coral, I believe, was commissioned in 1948, and it actually was doing deployments all the way up until 1975. One of them in particular was the USS Maddox incident, which I guess was a huge international confrontation that led to the United States being more engaged in the Vietnam War. And the Sea Coral departed in December of 1964 for duty with the 7th Fleet. In February of 65, her aircraft, along with those from carriers Ranger and Hancock, blasted the barracks and staging areas near Dong Hoi. You know, she continued making deployments, and she served from, like I said a minute ago, from 1948 all the way through 1975. In fact, in November 6th of 1971, 300 men from the Sea Coral actually led a march in an anti-war demonstration. Now, we all know the Vietnam War had tons and tons of controversy, and rightfully so. But 300 men from the Sea Coral actually led a march, an anti-war demonstration in San Francisco, which led to 1,200 protesters, which then led to 400 servicemen in Saigon signing a petition against the war. So, you know, again, you know, and I say this over and over, this is another reason why I just absolutely love doing these watches, and I love getting them in, especially when they're like the West clocks I showed yesterday, and now we're looking at this Benrus DTU. You know, just the rich history that these watches provide, and I mean, you can just tie them to so much, and you know, it just makes it really special when you have something come in like this. And the fact this is one owner, this is actually going out in the mail today also for Dan. He's been waiting a little bit for it to come in. I actually did a little bit of work to this watch. I had to repaint the second hand. It was having timing issues. I had to replace the balance complete on it. I got over 50 hours in this watch just trying to get it timed. It was gaining and losing like 100 and something seconds a day. After nearly 50 hours of work on it, I finally got it down to where it's gaining or losing around 7 seconds in like 5 positions, which is, it took a lot of work to get it there. So that's it again. It's a 1968 Benrus. I'm glad I could share it with you. You know, I'm gonna start putting these videos out whenever we get some neat projects in. I've got 2 Lady Seiko dive watches that I'm getting ready to work on, so I just want to take a minute and share this with you. If you like the videos, you know, hit like and definitely share them if you want. I've got no problem with that. I'd like to you know, share this with anybody who's interested. You know, share my passion with you. So thanks for watching, thanks for your time, and I hope that this was a little something special for you. Thanks.